Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Kiyraas. Today I'm bringing you the definitive guide for Unholy in 10.2. Now, looking at these talents, you're probably going, what the hell? There's no Apocalypse. There's no Magnus of the Dead. Let me explain this for you guys. Um, Unholy has so much damage right now from so many other things that you do not need Magnus of the Dead. You do not need Apocalypse. Now, you can drop, I would say, three talents here. I mean, you can drop these two, Ghoulish Frenzy, and Unholy Pact, and go Apocalypse, Magnus to the Dead, and Defile for cleave damage, and you'll still have this huge amount of single target damage, and still have a ton of cleave. Now, and still have Reaping and all the benefits of the spec. And getting your 2 set and your 4 set where it's going to do a ton of damage. Now, of course, that would be, I would feel more of a kind of a hybrid between the disease build that Flark and Partywaffles mentioned. Now, Partywaffles, he has the right idea of using the 2 set and the 4 set, but in execution with your pets being nerfed in PvP, it's not as strong as you would think, even with having all the uptime on Magnus of the Dead. Now, it could be like really good if the season was slower, but the thing is the season is so fast right now. You just want to run out, do as much damage, you know, grip the healer blind, silent stun, grip any heal, kick any heal that comes out. Depending on the comp you're playing, just stun, and like literally this season's just like people don't seem to care about doing like a setup based comp unless they're like RMP, jungle, thug cleave, or something like that. And honestly, you don't even see any jungle cleave because Feral's so squishy. It's all like boomkins, some sort of warlock comp because warlocks are really good right now. But this comp, like, it is insane how much damage you're able to do as Unholy. And this build right here, it gives you a very smooth rotation. Because, like, one of the things with Unholy is you can kind of wait there and kind of need more haste because of, well, with Unholy, you do lack kind of a rotation at the first of the season, it feels like, because from last season, you've got kind of like where you want all your stats to be, so you can kind of get where everything goes. But I want to show you guys some games here, and then I'll show you the talent. So if we look in some of these games, like here, this is my damage with this build, but I did have Apocalypse. And why would I switch it up? I didn't have 100% uptime with an Unholy Pact, but as you can see, my pet did 1.5 million damage with Unholy Pact. And this is just kind of all the other damage. So Army of the Dead from Apocalypse, Magnus of the Dead from basically Apocalypse, and Army of the Dead. As you can see, they're not very high. You could say, well, run. Basically, this is what Partywaffles will do. Is if I go into, as you can tell, I can. Hold on, let me drop combat. Let me get my pit over here. Okay, we drop combat. Go into Partywaffles. Really, I'm still in combat. All right. So let's see here. This is what Partywaffles runs. He utilizes Magnus of the Dead with this clawing build. Runs disease, great, has reaping, does a ton of damage with the reaping part of it. Unholy's just dealing a ton of reaping damage right now with clawing shadows. But he's always utilizing Magnus of the Dead and then running Necromancer's Bargain. But the problem is his Doom Burst. Well, Necrotic Wounds is basically, you just have to go into it because it's too good. It makes you more tanky. And Strangulate is too strong as well because basically you can Blind Sleet. That's, what is that, 6 seconds of CC? 5 seconds? Yeah, 5 seconds there. Silence, that's 9. Stun, that's 13 total seconds of CC on the healer. And in 13 seconds, that's a long time in Arena. I mean, you're going to get a trinket from the healer. So if you get a trinket from the healer in the opener, basically, you can basically win in the opener if you're running with like a PhDK, because literally you can grip the healer in, blind, silent stun, and if you don't manage to kill the DPS because they popped other cooldowns, they got peeled, whatever, your hunter comes in and trap stuns and disarm shots, or whatever that CC's called, but basically they shoot you in the face, you walk around like a lost, like you're lost for like 3-4 seconds or whatever. And this is Partywaffles disease build. Now, there is nothing wrong with the disease build from Partywaffles, but again, it utilizes the Magnus of the Dead talent, and the problem with Magnus of the Dead is all your pets are nerfed in PvP. This does a ton of damage if you're cleaving, but the thing is Unholy, you have so much burst potential with Unholy, with Harbinger of Doom, and everything else. Now, I don't know why he said Reaping was good with this build. I would almost drop Reaping, and the reason is, you could say, well, the execute damage from Harbinger of Doom is really good, or the rot damage from Reaping with Death Coil is really good. It is, but the issue that I have with it, it's only 30%, and if they're already below that mark, they're generally gonna die anyway. But the problem is, if you drop this, you go Harbinger of Doom, you're not only getting more death coils, but you're buffing your damage. You're getting more wounds out. You have more free runic power. You have more free runes, and you're just gonna have more damage overall, because the 30% more of Harbinger of Doom, it triggers 30% more often and can accumulate up to 2 charges. And if you get 2 stacks of death coil procs, and they have 4 wounds on them, and you press that twice, wounds is hitting for, I think, about roughly 45 to 60k, depending on this talent. If you go into Bursting Swords, because they do 20% more damage, you can basically go, and if you run, Harbinger of Doom is doing 20% more damage. So you pop 4 wounds, let's say that's 200k damage. Both the death coils, that's 400k-ish, because you're running Harbinger of Doom. So let's say it's about 400,000, let's say anywhere from 300,000 to 400,000 damage if anything crits. Which with Unholy you don't run crit. But I've still had some massive crits with Unholy. And now, you see where Partywaffles is going. Now, if you look at Flark, I would say Flark's build is better, because so basically that was the disease build. So if you look here, Partywaffles disease, 3 talents change, guys. 3 talents change. So this is the Partywaffles build. You don't have Harbinger of Doom, but if you go into Flarkness, wounding, bursting swords, a couple talents change. You lose 1 talent in morbidity. This changes over from Ebon Fever to bursting swords. And it utilizes Magnus of the Dead. The problem with Magnus of the Dead, it doesn't do enough damage. Maybe with the 4 set, having enough haste and mastery, you're going to do a ton of damage. But the other issue is, Magnus of the Dead still, even if you have a lot of uptime on it, the season is so fast that it doesn't really matter. And this is the other Flarkness build. This was kind of the build I was running kind of last patch with Unholy. And it was actually doing quite a bit of damage. Really, really good. It's just, if you look at the damage breakdown, even for some of these games, my festering wound damage and my sustain is super high. And we won this game too. We won this. There was just a lot of CC, but the issue is Clawing Shadows is hitting very, very hard. And they actually did not have a lot of uptime, but the issue is, okay, say if my average is 66k, my average wounds is, what is that, like 46? 46k, well over 100,000 damage, 110 per wound. So you're literally, if you're up on some, you can literally hold, if global per global, you're bursting wound, you're holding essentially 100k DPS. I know that's not true for Unholy, but the thing is you have so much pressure with even this build. And this is kind of taking inspiration from Flark, and kind of, because a little bit before it was about, where do you make the sacrifice, where do you lose something, because in the middle of the tree here, you're gonna lose something, but you always seem to go in the other direction with Unholy, and go into the center with with the two diseases. Um, as you can see, where this build, I don't care. I don't care at all. The 6% damage, great, but the problem is you run these 6 diseases, for example, you lose Ghoulish Frenzy. It's like in between these two, I would say swap these two, but the other issue is you're only going to have 2% more damage, and then you have to go into Super Strain. Super Strain does deal a ton of padding damage, but this build right here, it's all just straight damage in your face. Your Unholy Pact is getting buffed from Unholy Command, because now you have a shorter cooldown of Dark Transform. It lasts for 15 seconds. You're death coiling all the time. Death Coil and Epidemic increase the duration of Dark Transform by 1 second. And then it's getting buffed again, and you're getting buffed. Dark Transform also increases the attack speed and damage of you and your monstrosity by 10%. You get procs from auto attacking of Doom Burst, okay? So if you get Doom Burst 2 times, and I've been able to just spam it, I have so many Doom Bursts that when I'm trying to dump runic power and I'm trying to get Fester Wounds, I'm actually wasting globals on Doom Burst. So it's like for Apocalypse, I don't even like to run it because I'm getting so many stacks of Doom Burst that it feels pointless to running Apocalypse like at all. You just do so much more damage with Ghoulish Transformation and Doom Burst that you're buffing your Clawing Shadows by 50%. I don't feel like there's a moment in game where I don't have Rotten Touch up 100% of the time. I mean, unless if they're kiting me really hard, but this build has so much execution damage. You're buffing Unholy Pact. Now, on the tooltip, it says 50k, but the issue with that 50k, well, I guess if you're in PvP combat, okay, well, we're going to summon the ghoul. Just click on it, I guess. We're going to go. Now it says 90k. No, now it says 100k because I got a strength proc and I got the trinket proc. So suddenly now, if I press it, now it's 112k. But the thing is, if I'm extending this, and as you can see, I just got 2 Doomburst procs. I'm not playing correctly at all right now. Doomburst proc, and I am getting the benefit of reaping. Okay, but there's not a moment. So again, I just did 25 seconds of the ghoul, and I almost have it back again. So basically, okay, I have it back. Let's pop everything. Let's get these guys out. I'm gonna work down my wounds. I'm gonna pop this. I'm gonna keep doing more damage. Pop my ghoul again. Big damage. Okay, now I'm kind of scared of letting my wounds get too low at 3 even. And now I'm gonna get Doomburst from from Slappy Hands. We're just gonna keep just popping wounds. Okay, we're gonna get more wounds. We should get a Doomburst proc here shortly because we're extending our ghoul by so long. Again, almost 20 seconds of that. We got a Doomburst proc. We're just spamming, and you can see I've just had Rotten Touch almost up 100% of the time. There's not a moment where I feel like I don't have it. Just fell off. We have it again. Max our wounds out. We're gonna keep pumping damage. And the thing is the wounds don't scale in PvP, unfortunately. But there's not a moment where I don't have something. As you can see, Festering Wounds, it does not scale on the target dummy, but the Clawing Shadows does. And I believe this will be a little less in in Arena. But the other thing is, too, your pet is still doing a ton of your damage, especially with that. So I'm gonna show you the the build that I kind of was experimenting with earlier. Now, this does not focus on, you still don't have Apocalypse. You still don't have it. And you might say, well, why are you still running Ghoulish Frenzy instead of Morbidity? Again, Doomburst does so much damage, and with this build, all you're literally doing, you literally open, let's say you pop your army, I don't have it still on cooldown, you pop your army, you throw down a, you know, epidemic or whatever the hell it's called, the file on the ground, and this is your entire rotation. You're just spamming damage with this. It never ends. And even single target, you could run, let's say, if you want a more, you could drop Unholy Pact and go into Pestilence. But with even this build, I feel like I have so much fluid motion through just having more and more damage with haste. I can have the 6 disease, I can have Plaguebringer, which is going to buff my damage even more. I can have Defile up, let's say 2/3 of the time, or 3/4 of the time. I just do so much single target damage, even with my ghoul. My ghoul's empowered, I'm empowered, I'm doing more disease build, I'm doing a ton of rot, I'm just popping as many festering wounds as I can, reapply my disease, throw Defile on the ground, get that mastery, got another Doomburst proc. And literally, when you extend your ghoul damage like this, you're just buffing all of your damage. Because the reason is, you're extending your ghoul by so much. I'm doing 10% increased damage whenever I pop him. Which means if you're doing 10% increased damage for so long, that 4% does add up versus morbidity. And you have it up, let's say, half the time. And you still are roughly doing the same amount of sustain damage as you would with Reaping. But you don't have the execute pressure, but you have the rot pressure, basically. You might not get as many, wounds up. But honestly, I don't feel like I have an issue with wounds. There we go. We have 4, 5, 6. We're just going to keep getting as many wounds as we can. And the faster your pet's attacking, the longer that this is extended, you're just going to get more and more wounds because your ghoul's attacking faster, you're attacking faster, you're going to get more Doomburst procs. You're just going to have more damage. There's another one. There's 2. I just seem to get them all the time. Okay, we're about to burst again. It's just, this never ends. And this is without Doomburst. So in PvP, this build's all about proccing. Or not proccing, but just rotting people down. This is all single target, and we're still holding 75k DPS. Doomburst proc, you still have a ton of single target pressure, while still having cleave. It seems like with a lot of the Unholy DK builds, you don't have the execution pressure as much as the other builds with running the talents, but guys, this is crazy amounts of damage that you're able to pull off. You still get the 3 dots, you're doing the damage in half the time, which is actually insane. And you're getting a ton of pressure from Defile. Because let's look at this damage breakdown. Of course, Festering Wound is doing less damage outside of the arena. Your Scourge Strike is still hitting very, very hard. Your Disease is hitting really hard. Your Death Coil is hitting really hard. Unholy Pact is hitting actually kind of insanely hard, because if you throw Unholy Pact in with your pet damage, you're doing way more damage. You do that with your pet. And the thing is you do lose the improved Festering Wound, so you're only doing 10. It's just how the talent points line up. Of course, you could even drop the file if you want to do a rot build and be more single target, and have execution power with Reaping. That's still really strong, but the file, I feel like when you do the disease build, you want to have the file. And the reason for that is you just have more uptime. And honestly, like, you could go into running from Pestilence, you could go into, let's say, Unholy Pact into Pestilence. But the thing is Defile increases your mastery. And the thing is, with having the ghoul and having everything, it's just you can get basically like if you pop all your damage, you pop your if you pop everything, you know, A bomb slam, you're pulling them all in, you're changing your silent stun into after the fact of having grippy hands, because you know you can't break blinding sleep with all your cleave. This build does so much damage, guys. It's ridiculous. You know, it's just the execution power of Unholy right now, even without having Apocalypse, it doesn't matter in my eyes, because I've seen on other Unholy DKs and they always seem to fall short on one thing: execution power. And right now, and I just want to show you this, I got this rating in the first week, 1884. I know it's not 2K, but my MMR was over 2K. I just started pressing threes a little bit more this week, you know, and LFG can be kind of a pain in the ass, but I mean, 1627, that's what, 11? 1611, still over 60% win ratio. Still a pretty good win ratio in my opinion. Some people, well, if they're not 90 at 1500, you're bad. It's the second week of the season, guys. If I'm finding this much success with Unholy, almost being 2K, I mean, I've been up to 1912 this season, the first week of the season. I'm actually going to push more twos and hopefully get some games recorded in. But anyway, guys, happy Thanksgiving. I know I'm a day late on saying that, but you guys have a great one. I hope the holidays are great for you guys, and y'all have a good one. Bye-bye now.